Are you ready to take your business to the next level and make the money you want so that you can create the impact you desire? Then you're in the right place. It's possible to run a successful business built around your life. Get ready for a little bit of tough love and a whole lot of strategy to grow your business without sacrificing your sanity. If you're ready to get out of your own way and step into the role of CEO, then let's go. I'm Amy Traw, and this is the Motivated CEO Podcast. Whether you love them or hate them, funnels are such a critical part of your business. Especially as a solopreneur, you need a solid funnel. And in today's episode, we are demystifying, first of all, what does it really mean to have a funnel? Because there are a ton of misconceptions out there. And then what you can do as a solopreneur to really optimize your funnel and make it work for you. Today's guest, Kristen, is a marketing tech expert obsessed with helping service-based entrepreneurs and their teams break the seven-figure ceiling with ease by fixing their funnels and optimizing their systems so that they can stay in their zone of genius to create more influence, impact, and income. Who doesn't love that? Kristen, I am so excited to nerd out on this topic with you today because really, when it comes down to it, funnels are such a critical yet overlooked piece of our businesses. So before we dive in, I would love to know, what is a funnel? What is the actual definition of a funnel? Because we need to clear up some of these misconceptions.
Yes, and thank you so much, Amy, for having me. I am so excited. I will also nerd out with you on this topic because it's something I'm really passionate about. And I think, yeah, let's just dive right in. I have a little bit of a different take on a funnel than what you would normally see from an internet guru. So I want to help you think of a funnel as the process that a random stranger goes through when they first encounter you, all the way through their third or fourth purchase with you. And this is so critically important to think about with regards to your funnel, because if you think that your funnel is just how you get customers, you have a very small portion of that funnel that you are focusing on. And it is really to the detriment of not only your customers, but to your business as a whole. And I want you to think about helping people fall in love with your company. And that doesn't just happen through their first purchase, right? So we often hear that a funnel is how you get lead generation, or it's how you make your first couple sales. But that really is not true. A funnel encompasses your entire customer journey from the moment they're introduced to you on whatever platform, all the way through their purchase of their third or fourth purchase with you, and what happens at every single step of that person's experience with you. So, Amy, that's what I want people to think about, changing their perspective of, well, I've got a funnel. I, yeah, I've got ManyChat. I've got an Instagram account. People buy stuff from me. Okay, that's great. You have a part of a funnel that sometimes works, which is also great. But do you have a consistent customer experience? And if the answer to that is no, you have holes in your overall funnel. And that is why we see so many people not really getting the benefits of a true funnel.
Yeah. And funnels aren't something we need to be scared of. It really allows us to zoom out and see that bigger picture because you are absolutely right. And if you take nothing else away from this episode, please know that the funnel does not end with the sale. And I see that a lot is we're so focused on visibility, discoverability. How can I get more and more and more in front of more people? But how are we retaining? How are we then getting those referrals? How are we leveraging those very satisfied customers to amplify our results? This is really streamlining to amplify. And this is the beauty. This is what I love nerding out on as well, because it makes your business work for you. All of the data is there. It's all right in front of us. We just need to learn how to use it strategically. So if a business owner is listening to this episode and they're like, okay, I understand. I have that idea of what a funnel is. How do we know if our funnel is broken? Like, how do we know, okay, you know what? There's some pretty big gaps there that I need to fill. So, number one, how do we identify it? And then number two, how do we start to go about fixing our funnels?
Amy, I do these really beautiful experiments sometimes with the people that I work with. It's called a funnel audit. And I am essentially looking at every single piece of the customer's experience and seeing where are the holes and how do I identify those holes? I look at every step a person would take to get from finding me on any type of search or any discoverability page all the way through where are they leading me? Where are the next steps? Like, where are you taking me on that journey? And I look at all kinds of things. I look at their messaging, I look through the links that are attached to their profiles, I look through your website. Every opportunity for me to take a next step is what I am looking for. And that very often is where most of the holes come from. The next hole comes from what we call like a drop off rate. And this is where I've purchased something and then basically I fall into like a black hole of your funnel where it feels, and I want you to understand too, when you have a purchase or when someone purchases your offer and you're not giving them the respect to continue to follow up with them and continue to communicate with them, that how would you feel, right? Think about how you would feel if, or how you have felt when that happens to you, right? Many people do that. So you have holes in your funnel if I can't clearly identify where you're trying to take me. You have holes in your funnel if you are not actively following up with people who have purchased from you. And you have holes in your funnel if people are not making second and third purchases with you. Like those are the big three areas you have a leaky funnel. The last piece of a funnel that you might have a hole in is your sales funnel. So if you have people, if you're consistently getting, especially if you have a service-based offer and you're getting on consult calls or opportunity calls, if you have a drop-off rate where you're getting on a lot of calls, but no one is converting, you have a hole there as well. Either you're not following up fast enough, clear enough, consistently enough with them, or you have an issue where you're pulling in the wrong type of person. So that could be a hole as well. Those are so that's not always the case, but that fourth one, if you've plugged the other three and you're still not having success, that fourth one's a telltale.
Definitely. Now, which one of those do you feel is the most common that you see? And I know it really varies from business to business, but if there was one that stood out that you're like, oh gosh, what would it be?
I That is such a good question. And it does vary. I think it actually varies in the stage of business that you're at. I would say if you're a solopreneur and you are finding a modicum of success, like people are purchasing, but you don't see that repeat. I see that probably the most is where if you have an offer that is somewhat converting, but it's not converting consistently, it really is the follow through. That is the biggest thing that I see because a lot of people will be interested, but they get busy or they get distracted. And if you're not tracking, and I know people hate numbers, but I mean, if you're not paying attention to them,
Yeah.
you're doing yourself a disservice more than anyone. It, People are interested. You have success with your audience. You're getting a good amount of engagement, but your offer's not converting the way that you need it to. Very often, I see a solopreneur that has a good offer, but a bad follow up. And that 90% of the time will that will cause a lot of issues.
Yeah, it
Um,
does. It really does. And we get into our heads as entrepreneurs. We're afraid to follow up. We create these stories
hmm,
and we
hmm.
tell ourselves, oh, I'm going to be a bother, this, that, or the other. For anybody that's thinking that, like, just know that you're normal, you're human. That's just your brain's way of trying to keep you safe. But think about it this way, like the other day, the Children's Place sent me 10 emails in one day. We're busy. We're scrolling. No one's paying that much attention. Take the time to follow up and follow through because this is an easy way to increase your sales because a lot of people aren't because of those self limiting beliefs, because of the fear of rejection, because of so many of these stories that we create. And frankly, we're busy. The world is busy. We all have lives outside of our phones that we're running in all of these different directions. So, taking the time to follow up and follow through really are going to set you apart as a business owner.
I would say too that follow follow up on your own processes. That's another one that I see. I just did a funnel audit last week and they are a solopreneur. They are outsourcing some items. And because they're outsourcing some items, they're not following up on their own systems. And I found an email in a nurture sequence that was directing people towards an event that they were doing a sales push towards in like April, right? So making sure that if you have that, even if you do have a follow-up sequence, that you are consistently following up on your own things and making sure that you are keeping things up to date. And when I say that I do the funnel audits and I see a lot of like broken links or things pointing toward past events, things pointing towards offers that don't exist anymore. People do it all the time. And if you're going to do that, make sure to have in your processes, especially for past events. This is a nugget that a lot of people should do, but they don't. If you're going to have an event, just like have people sign up for the replay of that event. It's so simple, but you have to follow up on your own processes and you can continue to collect those emails, but you have to be diligent about following up. Follow up. Follow up's the biggest mistake people make that they don't do.
Yes, definitely. Now, how often should a business owner be taking the time to audit their funnel? Is this something we should do quarterly, semi-annual, annually? What's your best advice for that?
I think that if you are a solopreneur and you do not have a team, once a month,
Yeah.
once every 30 days, taking a couple of hours, carve out one day of your week and really go through a fine-tooth comb with your funnels because as solopreneurs are doing something that entrepreneurs with bigger teams aren't doing, and that it's that they're being more scrappy and they're changing more things to get in front of more eyeballs. They are, in general, they have more movement in their business. And so their funnels change more often than a more robust team or an entrepreneur with a more robust team. So if you are a solopreneur and you are being more scrappy and you are changing things up and you are trying to find what works for you, mandatory once a month, making sure you don't have things that are in the past, things that you don't want out there anymore, things that don't make sense anymore, right? You change your branding, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's such good advice because as solopreneurs, we get caught up in the hustle. Get caught up doing all of the things. And I actually have it scheduled. The first Friday of every month is my CEO day. That is my day to dive into the data, to see what is working, what is not working, because it's 2024. The market has shifted significantly this year. Buyer behaviors have changed. The things that people are opening and clicking on, that's changed. But what that data does is it allows me to get curious and figure out, okay, well, this worked out really well. So how can I double down on this? And this isn't converting as well. How can I let this go? Or what can I do differently with this? It allows me to see those opportunities. But if we're never taking the time to pause and assess, I mean, even something as simple as you said, like broken links, they happen. We update things on our websites and don't realize, oh gosh, that link is linked to something else that I'm no longer doing in this email. And mapping it out, the first time you do it, yeah, it does take a little bit of time, but it's worth the ROI. I mean, that little bit of time, the more and more you review it and streamline your processes, this doesn't take hours on end to do. You can do a funnel audit very quickly and very easily, and it's going to boost your sales because you're seeing those opportunities right in front of you.
Absolutely. And I would say if you don't have, this is a trick that I tell anyone who's starting out in business and they say, I don't have the time to do that. I don't, whatever they say. I, I will tell them, okay, your mom or your friend or your coach or whomever, pick someone and have them go through your profiles like they were a brand new customer and text you or email you or what have you all the things that they find because they're going to find some stuff. I even have stuff, right? I do this with my team. I have a team member go through and kind of make sure mine are all up to snuff too. But if you don't have a team or you think, oh, I don't have time to do that, ask someone. The people love to be asked for help. And, I think especially people who they feel honored. They're like, yeah, I would love to do that for you. And they'll go through and they'll click. And it's fun, to help people kind of find that stuff. So I always ask that, like, ask someone random who has no idea what you do. That's the other thing. People oftentimes they're like, I don't know what you do. Like, perfect. You're perfect. So that's a pro tip that I've given a lot of people, and it helps because they'll be like, oh yeah, you've got this link over here, or I don't know what this means, right? They'll give you a lot of really good feedback, and it just make it fun for them.
Yeah.
Send
I
them a
mean,
gift card.
right, exactly. It's not rocket science. I actually do that with my kiddos. Like I'll
Hmm.
ask them when I'm creating content, I'll be like, does this make sense to you? And if it does, I'm like, Okay, perfect. Or if not, it's like, it's so easy for us to slip into like industry jargon and it makes sense in our minds, but really having that outside perspective, that other point of view is so helpful as a business owner. And something else in the process of building out our funnels that can be really, really helpful are different systems and automations. Do you have some must have tools or platforms that you recommend?
So many. I will try not to get overwhelming with the amount of. I love systems. I am a systems hound. I love automations. For solopreneurs specifically, I would say an absolute must have is an email list with an autoresponder. This is, it's critical. And there are two platforms for beginning or solopreneurs that I recommend. ConvertKit is one, and Flowdesk is the other. Relatively speaking, they're very inexpensive and they're really good systems to get you started. But the most important, in my personal professional opinion, the most important part of a funnel is your email list. And people ignore this because they think it's hard to build. And I won't get into that. But if you dedicate the time to building it, your email list becomes the most powerful sales engine that you can possibly have. It's more impactful than social media. It's more impactful than a website. It is hands down having an email list is the most important aspect of a funnel, and getting familiar with how to leverage them is the most important aspect, I think, in marketing your business. So, to get you started, ConvertKit and Flowdesk both have very robust automations platforms that integrate well. They are widely integratable, I would say, with other platforms. And they're not overly complicated, but they have all of the things that you need to be able to leverage data. And very lightly, I will go into some things that you should at least research or pay attention to. So, tagging is basically what happens when a person interacts with you and your business through an email list, and you're able to identify what they did. This is critical. And when we talk about a funnel, when you get into more advanced topics in funnels, tagging is like the next step. It's like get an email list and then start tagging people, right? It's like that next step. We want to be able to see what our customers are doing. We want to be able to see which emails they're opening. We want to be able to see what things that they're clicking on. But we also want to see what are they purchasing, right? What activities are they drawn to, and be able to make better business decisions based on your audience's movements with your material or your marketing material. And so we want to make sure, yes, automations are a must. You must have an autoresponder if you have a free resource out there and somebody signs up for your email and you send them a thank you, right? But you also want to make sure that you have that tagging capability to make sure that you can understand, hey, this person clicked on this button and then they purchased this, like all of those things. So that got a little technical. I hope it was okay. But those two are the big systems. And then I would say the other one that I like it, right? I like to have a quiz feature. Um, that's a little bit more advanced, and there's so many out there. I won't give a specific recommendation, but I would encourage you to think about if you're thinking about an automated system and you're trying to engage your audience, quizzes are a really great avenue for doing that, and they just generate fun in your brand. And I think when people have fun, they interact a little bit more. So that's something that I would say.
I
Yeah,
love it. Thank you so much for like stressing the email list
I
because
know.
I feel like it's so blatantly obvious, but it's so underutilized because when
Mm.
we think about it, social media, people are going to social media to be entertained. We're going to procrastinate. We're escaping reality. We're avoiding something, typically. Not always, but a lot of times. Social media is noisy. There's a lot of noise there. We're having to catch people's attention, stand out in different ways. Our inbox is so much quieter. So I can see who's really taking the time to open this, what they're clicking on, what I said that was engaging to them, what's resonating. There is such a gold mine of information in that data that we can get from that list. And when we learn to leverage it appropriately, it is such a beautiful thing. And like you said, there's automations available within every single email platform out there. And if you're not sure how to maximize it, go onto YouTube. There are so many different tutorials and resources. And with the rise of AI, things are evolving so rapidly and new platforms are always coming out. So get curious. Take the time and figure out what would work best for you. And also the quizzes feature. That is something that it's really interesting. I'll do that a lot for market research, but then I'll go back in and I'll look at who's responding and in what way. And I think that that is an important thing to do as business owners is to analyze, okay, yes, my responses are one thing, but who's responding? I think that's even more valuable than the data that we're getting. Like, who cares what the response is? What's my ideal person saying? What is that person that's ready to buy? How are they engaging? And then that allows us to adjust and adapt our messaging, our marketing, our emails, our strategies so that we can convert, we can better follow up, we can retain, we can get those referrals and grow our businesses by fixing our funnels. Kristen, these were amazing insights. I loved absolutely everything. You have some awesome free resources to share. We will link those up in the show notes. And thank you so much for taking the time to just shed some light and demystify the whole topic of funnels.
Thank you, Amy. It was an absolute blast to be here with you, and I just really appreciate the opportunity to geek out with you.
I love it. I could talk to you about this all day long. And until next time, cheers to making the money you want so you can create the impact you desire. Are you loving what you're hearing? Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode.